Today I'm going to be reviewing the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 DGDN for Sony E mount. I've been using this lens for quite a while now, about a year, and I feel that I have a pretty good handle on how well it works, so I will be giving you my take on this standard zoom. Now this is going to be my opinions and experience and not necessarily a technical demonstration using charts and all that fun stuff. The build quality of this lens is as good as any professional lens I've ever used. It's weather sealed with a brass bayonet at the mount, uses a quiet stepping motor, has an 82mm filter thread, an autofocus manual focus switch, zoom lock, and an autofocus lock button that can be reprogrammed. It also comes with a plastic hood like many other lenses. It weighs in at 835 grams, so it will feel a little front heavy at times. I have no issues with this lens from a physical standpoint, and it feels really good in the hand. It works exactly like it's supposed to in both video and photography contexts. Now, some of the complaints I've heard regarding the weight on this lens are a little silly to me, considering that most of the competitors in this space are about the same weight. Most comparisons I've seen, though, unfairly compare it to something like the Tamron 28-75, but that's not really fair considering the focal lengths are not the same. Let's compare the Sigma with the actual competitors. The similar G Master Mark I weighs in 886 grams, the RF Canon weighs 900 grams, and the Panasonic Lumix Pro is the heaviest at 935 grams. When this lens was released, certain copies had sealing issues where the lens seemed to vacuum in dust and particles. This has since been fixed, as it was apparently a small batch manufacturing problem, and if you still have this issue with your lens, you need to send it to Sigma and have them fix it. The focus ring is electronic focusing, but it's pretty smooth and it feels good. It feels much better than many lenses I've used in the past for manual focusing, but it does not feel linear. It's not the kind of lens I would say to buy because of its manual focusing mechanics, but it does get the job done for videographers who are going to rely on the autofocus and occasionally use manual focus for certain shots. A cinema lens, it is not, and it's not designed to be one. Regarding autofocus, all I can say is that it's as fast and accurate as I think I'll ever need it to be for normal work, and the video autofocus has been near perfect in my experience. The lens also does not suffer from obvious focus breathing, so you can leave the eye autofocus on for interviews if you'd like. Now that the physical stuff is out of the way, let's talk about image quality. In most cases, the lens performs as well or better than any OEM standard zoom I've ever used, and it's optically better in my experience when you compare to the benchmark Canon 24-70 f2.8L Mark II. Every lens has its own issues, but this one definitely has more pros than cons. I have found that at all focal lengths and in most cases the sharpness, chromatic aberrations, the contrast, the overall look mostly exceed my expectations from this kind of lens. At 24mm, you have some distortion, but it's easily fixed with a click and post. At 70mm, the center is definitely sharper, wide open compared to the corners, but I never shoot 70mm wide open for corner sharpness. It's totally irrelevant to me, and I could make a whole video about how irrelevant corner sharpness would be for me wide open, but that's a matter for another time. What does matter to me, though, is that the middle 2/3 of the image, when I shoot wide open, needs to be sharp and it needs to look good. And I'm happy to say that at each focal length, this lens provides good enough sharpness for me. When stopped down between f5.6 and f11, you get very good corner-to-corner sharpness that will work well enough for any landscape or architecture shot you likely are planning to make with a standard zoom. In my opinion, if it's not good enough and somebody's eyeballing the very corners of your image and comparing it to the center, you've already messed up the shot, irrelevant of the lens's performance. Flaring can be a little annoying sometimes, as it's not the best corrected for flares compared to some, but the real turds in the punch bowl for this lens are its vignetting, which will need to be fixed in post, and the close-up image quality wide open is not necessarily the best. It does have a lot of vignetting, unfortunately, and it never really clears up completely without fixing it in post or leaving the corrections turned on. I always keep the corrections turned on in camera for both photos and video anyway, so this never ends up being an issue. The aberrations and softness at the closest focusing distance will be obvious at times, but it's more apparent at 70mm, but if you stop down to f4 or 5.6, you get better results. When shooting extremely close-up objects, I would advise stopping the lens down, even if you have a better corrected lens, just so you can get sharper results with a deeper depth of field for that object. You're going to have a soft enough background, most likely, so the overall results, in my view, tend to be a lot better, regardless of the lens. So look at stopping down if this lens doesn't quite give you the performance you want wide open at close focusing distance. Those cons out of the way, I will finish out this part by saying that there are some qualities of this lens that surprised me in a way that the Sony and Canon 24-70 f2.8L Mark II never did, and that's that the saturation of this lens is really kind of amazing, and the bokeh looks really good. I've been surprised many times just by the bokeh. it looks a lot less zoom bokeh-y, if that makes sense. So take with that what you will. And also the saturation is visibly higher compared to other lenses that I've used of this same level. I think it's clear that I like this lens quite a lot and I would indeed recommend it. So let's talk about the price compared to the competition. Well, in my view, the Sigma is a no-brainer. The Sony Mark I is about double the cost of the Sigma, and I just see nothing that really justifies that. If I can get my work done with $1,100 instead of $2,000, I just get the cheaper option. If you wanted me to compare to the Samyang or Rokinon when they are about the same price as the excellent Sigma, well, I would get the Sigma, as the price difference is just not enough for me to not pick the Sigma. The Sigma also comes with a 4-year warranty if you're in the USA, so that's a nice bonus. Lastly, the Sigma also comes with the opportunity to swap the mount later to a different system if you want. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but it's nice to know that I could do that in the future if I wanted to and have my lenses that I like supported in another system. Since writing this script, the Sony 24-70 Mark II was announced, so of course I have to add some thoughts now about that. This new Sony standard zoom appears to be overall better in the technical categories, which would include sharpness, close-up performance, size, weight, focus speed, and all that. It's not officially out yet, so I haven't had the opportunity to try it, but it sounds like it's pretty great. The thing is, it's still going to be double the cost of this Sigma lens, and frankly, the Sigma has not been an issue. Its quality didn't get worse just because the G Master Mark II came out, the autofocus is still near perfect for me, and the optical quality is still great, so the new G Master is not offering anything for me personally other than weight, which is not really enough of a difference for me to care about. I would understand the desire for others, though, to go for this new Sony if they're looking for technically what appears to be the best standard zoom on E-mount. Just keep in mind that the price of the Sony G Master Mark II alone is the cost of the Sigma and another lens like the excellent Sigma 85 1.4 DGDN. That's it for this review. I hope that it was helpful to you, and if it was, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I want to thank you for watching and also thank my patrons for the support. Shout out to VIP patron Ray M. Thank you so much for your support. And if you would like to continue supporting this channel, please be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, and consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TonyDay. Good luck to whatever it is that you might be working on. I hope that this helped you pick a good lens, and I will look forward to speaking to you again next time.